Hey, what's going on, guys? Zach Spear here with MLM Rebels, and I want to talk to you guys today about focusing, okay? Focusing on just one thing. So we have a propensity in this industry to have our people focus on a million different things because we feel that it's productive. I remember very, very specifically in our last company, when we were building it 100% old school, we would always, we'd have trainings every week, right? We would do physical hotel meetings, we'd have trainings every single week, and it was almost like the goal of the training was to convince you of how good of a speaker I was, or how good of a speaker the speaker was. Like, let me dazzle you with my eloquence. And I know the guy that usually spoke at the meetings that I went to, and that wasn't his goal. Like, his goal was legitimately to help people. But he was so freaking good at speaking, and he was such a passion for teaching that all the people that were in that meeting always scurried around doing doing random stuff. Like, first they'd be like, recruiting, okay, I'm recruiting. And there's like volume push, like selling products. Okay, I'm selling products. Oh my God. But first, there's this extra level deep training that you can be a part of, and we're going to talk about leadership. And now we're going to talk about leading people and being 30 steps ahead of them and reading all these leadership books so that you can lead the free world and run for president if you want. And now people are like, okay, I'm going to do all these leadership books. And then there's another late night training 3 days later that talks about spiritual growth, and it talks about making sure that you're sowing and you're tithing, and if you can only reap out of the business if you give into the business. So make sure that you're serving your people. Number one, like, for the love of God, how can you expect to grow if you're not talking to your people every day of the week? If you're not serving them and driving miles for them, how can you expect to grow? Okay, so make sure you do that. Oh, by the way, make sure you read the Bible 30 minutes a day, because if you don't do that, like, how can you expect God to bless you if you're not spending time with Him? And are you tithing? You're not tithing? Dude, are you serious? Okay, now before you do that, make sure you have to make sure you listen to at least an audio a day. We know that, but you know what? Paul here is listening to 4 audios a day. 4 audios a day. Paul, you excited, man? Dude, I'm freaking pumped. So guys, make sure you listen to 4 audios a day. I mean, I'm not saying you have to listen to 4, but you think Paul's going to grow faster if he listens to 4 audios a day or 1 audio a day? 4. Okay, so now people are listening to 4 audios a day. They're reading 700 books. They're trying to recruit. They're trying to sell. They're trying to tithe. They're trying to read the... And you wonder why people don't grow in old school MLM. It's not just because the golden rules are broken. It's also because there's no strategy. When people do grow in old school MLM, they're focusing on one thing. When people grow in new school MLM, when they rebel against the bull crap that's been taught, what we're doing, focusing on one thing. When we can generate thousands of leads a month, we can recruit more people in a month than most people can in a year, we're focusing on one thing. One thing, not a million, one. So my challenge to you is, what is the one thing that can make everything else irrelevant? There's a guy named Tim Ferriss, you probably know him, he wrote the 4-Hour Workweek. And he gets asked all the time. He was actually giving a speech one time, and he was being asked, hey Tim, can we follow you around for the day? What's your daily routine look like? And he says, you know what, I've actually been asked a lot if someone can follow me around and see what I do on a daily basis because I get so much done. He says, I always decline the request because if people followed me around, they'd actually find out that I have a really, really boring life. Because what I do is for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, I'll basically get up at 8, 9 in the morning, I'll make some tea, I'll shuffle around, might walk around downtown, might get a paper, might get a book. And what I'm doing is for 3 weeks, I'm clearing my mind so that I can identify the one big domino that if that domino is knocked over, everything else in my life becomes irrelevant or is taken care of. I.e., he searches for the one thing. So what I want you to do is search for the one thing. What is the one thing that if you focus on in your life or in your business, it will make everything else irrelevant? There's multiple layers to this, right? Sometimes you have to dig a little bit. So, like, let's say I'm working a job, I don't have that much time with my family, and maybe there's a money issue, right? What's the one thing that will make all of those things relevant? Well, that one thing is if I could just make this business work, if I could make this MLM business work, all that would become irrelevant. I would have money again. I would have more time with my wife. I would have more time here. I'd have more money for my kid. That's the one thing. Okay, so the MLM is the one thing. But then there's a one thing within the business too. What is the one thing there? So identify that, all the other dominoes get knocked over. And most likely, if you're in a desired opportunity, what's the second golden rule? The leveraged way to market it. So if you don't have that one figured out, make sure it gets figured out, and that is probably your one thing. So guys, I hope this made sense. If it made sense, I want you to comment down below. Tell me what you learned. Tell me what you figured out. Okay. And if you're not already a part of the MLM Rebels group, I want you to join. I want you to click down below. It's a private group, but it's a free group, and you can join and you can learn what we're doing to overtake this industry and rebel against the crap that we've been taught and actually make this an effective use of your time and make this an effective use of your finances. So guys, I hope this helped. Love you all. Have a good day.